Episode 6 begins in the Upside Down. Dustin rushes up the stairs, desperately trying to get Jonathan and Nancy's attention. His friend runs after him, trying to pull him back. Dustin shouts at them to stop and warns them not to touch anything. But the warning comes too late. Nancy had already fired her gun. Nothing happens. There was no reaction at all. Confused, Jonathan asks if she missed the shot. Before they can react, something terrifying begins to form nearby. A massive ball of energy starts gathering in the air, growing larger by the second. It crackles violently with electricity. Realizing the danger, Jonathan and Nancy turn and try to escape. Suddenly, the energy sphere explodes. The blast slams into them, throwing them backward and knocking them unconscious. Powerful shock waves surge outward, tearing through the Upside Down. The waves race across the city and spread around the globe. Even at the wall, Harbour, 11, and Connelly stand frozen in disbelief as the energy ripples across its surface in front of their eyes. At 5 a.m., Erica and Murray break into Mr. Clark's house. Erica quickly explains that Dustin is in serious danger and that they need a telemetry tracker to find him. At first, he's uncomfortable with the idea and refuses to help, calling it inappropriate as he tries to shut the door in their faces. But Erica stops him and makes it clear that Dustin's life is on the line, and this is the only way they can help. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, he finally agrees to help them. Meanwhile, Steve rushes to Dustin, who is lying helpless on the ground after being struck by the sphere's shockwaves. He asks if the generator caused the explosion, but Dustin admits he was wrong and made a terrible mistake. He explained that after leaving, he discovered Brenner's journal, which revealed that the key to destroying the wall was hidden in the lab. It was not a shield generator, not black magic, not something Vecna created. It was science. The journal described it as exotic matter, a single, powerful energy source that holds our world together. Dustin believes Nancy accidentally triggered it when she fired her gun. Elsewhere, Jonathan and Nancy remain unconscious, slowly being pulled toward the sphere's deadly matter. When Steve asks why crossing the wall was such a terrible idea, Dustin explains that Vecna did not build the wall, meaning Vecna is not on the other side. Holly and the other kids are not there either. There is nothing beyond the wall but death. Nearby, a car that crashed into the wall stops abruptly in front of Harbour, 11, and Connelly before it can be consumed. The three stare at it in shock, but suddenly the wall opens wider, swallowing everything in its path. Trees, gravestones, earth, and debris are dragged into the barrier by its immense pull. Realizing the danger, Harbour urgently tells 11 that they have to leave. Dustin continues explaining to Steve that everything they believed about the Upside Down was completely wrong. As the danger grows, 11 spots a portal they can escape through. Using her powers, she pushes back the debris and clears their path. Meanwhile, Dustin tells Steve that the Upside Down is actually a wormhole, a bridge connecting 2 points across space and time. Struggling to grasp the idea, Steve asks what would happen if the wormhole collapsed. With fear written across his face, Dustin answers that it would collapse with them and with everyone else. Max and Holly burst out of the door and run straight toward the cave. Inside, Max tries to calm Holly, assuring her that they are safe there and that nothing can hurt them. But Holly senses danger and warns that Vecna is coming. Moments later, Vecna appears, limping as he approaches the cave. The girls retreat deeper inside, away from the entrance. Vecna calls out to Holly, warning her to stop or Max will be hurt. He claims he understands that she believes Max is her friend, but insists she is being deceived. Holly shouts back that she does not believe him, saying she has seen who he truly is and calling him a disgusting monster. Vecna then threatens that if she does not come with him immediately and join the other children, he will have no choice but to hurt Max and may even kill her. Max interrupts, taunting him by saying he is afraid of the cave and calling him a coward. Vecna calmly responds that there are other ways to reach her now, and warns Holly that once her friend begins to suffer, she will have to choose, either return with him or watch her new friend die. As Henry walks away from the cave entrance, everything suddenly goes dark. When Will wakes up, he realizes he is tied up, trapped in Vecna's lair with no way to escape. He watches in fear as Vecna slowly approaches, asking if he remembers this place and whether it brings back painful memories. Will tells him that Max and Holly escaped and mocks him, asking if his injured legs slowed him down. Vecna calmly replies, saying Will should not think he is clever, reminding him that everything that happened was possible only because Will invited him in. He calls Will his vessel, his spy, and his architect. Vecna explains that the tunnels were not random at all, but were created by Will himself every night while he slept.
He tells Will that there is great power inside him, but warns him not to forget that all of it belongs to Vecna, who is now stronger than ever. He declares that the time has come to bring his vessels home, though not yet, since Max still has one of them. Vecna says there are ways to lure a fox from its den, and Will help him one last time by acting as his spy again. As Will tries to resist, Vecna raises his hand, warning that the more he fights back, the more pain he will feel. Instantly, Will screams as blood begins to stream from his eyes. Holly and Max talk quietly about why Vecna refuses to enter the cave. Holly tells Max that she spent 2 long years trapped there doing nothing, so she should at least have some idea why he stays away. Max explains that it may be a place he's afraid to face because of how traumatic it is for him. Holly realizes that this painful memory might also be our way out. She suggests that just as the prison memories once freed them, they could escape by leaving the cave through a massive opening that leads into a vast desert of sand. Max argues that they should stay where they are and wait for 11 to rescue them, but Holly refuses, saying she does not believe Vecna was lying when he claimed there were other ways to reach her. Convinced that staying is too dangerous, she insists they find another way out and leave the cave. 11 and Hopper return to the house where Will's mother and Mike are waiting. 11 introduces Kalia to everyone, explaining that she is her sister and that the story behind it is a long one. Hopper asks about the rest of the group, and they all head inside the house together. Inside, 11 notices Will lying asleep and completely unresponsive. Worried, Will's mother turns to 11 and asks if she thinks they can still find her son.
Meanwhile, Dustin and Steve desperately search for a way to stop the wormhole. Steve asks Dustin how long it usually takes for a wormhole to collapse. Dustin admits that he always believed it would happen instantly, but now he realizes that it is taking longer than expected. Running out of options, Steve grabs the communicator and rushes off, hoping to pick up a signal that can lead him to his friends. Dustin follows close behind, warning Steve that the area could be a deadly trap where the normal laws of physics no longer apply. High up in the building, Steve asks Nancy if she's picking up the signal, but suddenly they realize they are directly beneath the massive energy sphere. Meanwhile, Jonathan wakes to find everything around him being swallowed by a strange white liquid. Panicked, he shakes Nancy awake so they can try to escape. They rush to a nearby door and struggle to open it, but it won't budge. Meanwhile, 11 searches desperately for Will, with Collie watching her closely. Hopper tending to his injuries, he asks Mike if Nancy left any note or clue at the church, but Mike replies that she left absolutely nothing. Hopper mutters that this either means they're a bunch of inconsiderate fools or that they were captured by the military. Mike, trying to ease his own worry, admits he leans toward the inconsiderate fools theory. Suddenly, Collie bursts in, saying 11 is struggling and she hasn't found anything. Hopper snaps, questioning why she's acting like an expert on 11 when she's only known her for a day and a half. Collie defends herself, insisting that she knew 11 long before Hopper did since they were raised together. Determined, Collie approaches Hopper and asks if he truly wants to know why she's still here, explaining that she doesn't want any of this to happen again. Just then, the lights begin to flicker, and they all rush to check on their friend's safety. At the hospital, Lucas heads to Max's room with the music, but Robin gets stopped by her friend Vicky. Vicky is terrified because the military police are looking for Robin for stealing drugs earlier. Vicky thinks Robin is a drug addict going through withdrawal. Robin tries to explain that she isn't an addict, but the drugs were part of a plan to fight monsters. Before she can explain more, the military police arrive to arrest her. But the arrest is interrupted when Demogorgons suddenly storm the hospital. Back in the desert, Holly spots a distinctive mark on the lid of her telescope. Looking closer, she realizes it matches the shape of the giant hole they had used to escape from the cave. Excited, she rushes back to where they had been. Max asks where she's going, and Holly tells her she has an idea and will explain in a moment. Back at the cave, Holly carefully positions herself so that the telescope lid aligns perfectly with the cave entrance. As she adjusts it, she nearly falls into a hidden hole beneath the floor, but Max quickly helps her out, remarking on how deep the crevice is. Back in the Upside Down, Steve refuses to give up. He tries to climb a staircase that is literally melting and disintegrating like wax because of the space-time collapse. Dustin has a total emotional breakdown. He screams at Steve to stop, crying, "I can't lose you too." He's finally letting out all the pain of losing Eddie Munson. Steve realizes Dustin's jerk attitude was just a mask for his grief. He climbs down, hugs Dustin, and promises to stay. A second later, the stairs they were going to climb melt away into nothing. They're safe for now.
Meanwhile, Jonathan and Nancy are on the verge of being swallowed by the encroaching liquid. In a moment of heartfelt confession, he declares his love, slips a ring onto her finger, and asks Nancy to marry him. She joyfully accepts, and they hold each other tightly, fully aware that their time may be up. But then they notice that when the ring falls to the ground, it is not consumed by the liquid. Instantly, they realize that the liquid has hardened, and their lives are no longer in immediate danger.
11 prepares to use her powers, settling into a makeshift bathtub filled with water to enhance her abilities and focus on finding Will. Concentrating deeply, she pinpoints his exact location and quickly acts, freeing him from the grasp of Vecna's menacing vine. Max and Holly continue through the cave, noticing a trail of blood along the way. Since it's only a memory, Max reassures Holly that nothing here can actually hurt them. A little further ahead, they encounter a man pointing a gun at them, but what they are witnessing is a flashback to Henry's childhood. The frightened boy raises his hands, insisting he is trying to help, but the man shoots him in the hand, leaving Henry with no choice. In a desperate move, Henry lunges at the man, disarms him, and strikes him with a nearby rock, covering him in blood before taking his briefcase. Seeing this, Max pulls Holly aside, calming her and explaining that it's just a memory and that they are safe. Holly still has questions, wondering why the man shot Henry and whether that is what drove him to become evil. Max admits he doesn't know, but vows to find a way out. As he clears some rocks from their path, he notices a red light and tells Holly she was right. The exit from the prison is there. 11 manages to calm Will, and he quickly tells her that Vecna is after Max and that he tried to stop him but failed. Hearing this, 11 immediately climbs out of the bathtub and rushes to Will's side, explaining the urgency of the situation. Will warns that Vecna is going to kill Max and insists that they need to get to the hospital right away. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Robin warns Lucas that Demogorgons are after Max and urges him to take the elevator down to the basement where they'll have a chance to confront it. As the lights begin to flicker, Lucas quickly leads his friends toward the elevator, with the demons close behind. Just as they step inside, one of the demons lunges at them, and Lucas reacts quickly, kicking it away before the elevator doors shut. In the basement, Lucas and Max reunite with Robin and Vicky, but the demons search for them, and they are forced to hide, fearing the worst. Suddenly, a washing machine starts running, catching the demons' attention. Inside it is an oxygen tank, which explodes, destroying the approaching demon and giving them a brief moment of safety. This 400 IQ was done by Karen Wheeler. Holly and Max stand at the prison exit, where Max notices a portal that will take her back to where Lucas is. Holly wants to go near it too, but Max tells her that this exit is meant for her. It leads to Max's body, not hers, and that she must find her own way out. Holly asks if she has to do it alone, and Max explains that all she needs is to connect with something powerful in the real world, something strong, meaningful, and comforting, something that gives her hope and strength. She urges her to remember what she means to her. Holly protests, saying she doesn't mean anything important because she's just a toy. Max counters, asking why, if she's just a toy, she never puts her down anymore. She recalls feeling helpless when her mother was attacked and when Henry attacked her, admitting there was nothing heroic about being unable to help. Max reassures her that even if she had wanted to, she couldn't have. She couldn't have defeated those monsters with a poker. Max reminds her of the important things she's forgotten, how he ventured into the woods despite the danger, followed her to the cave without reason to trust her, and how she faced danger without hesitation when he asked her to go back to Henry. Thanks to Holly, Max says she's going to see her people again and that she has saved her. Max emphasizes that heroic Holly isn't just a toy, it's herself. At that moment, Holly's portal opens, sharing a heartfelt hug and saying goodbye, and finally the two run to their respective exits. Episode 6 ends right here.